And welcome back to Dublin City TV Culture Night here. My name is Noel McGuinness. In studio I have Ben Readman, and he's an artist and artistic director of Block T.
That's right.
That's not a prison area. So explain to me what Block T is.
Block T is a creative organisation. We've been in operation since July 2010, and we started off pretty much as a studio, doing events within the studios in Smithfield, and we've been growing ever since then. And recently we've moved into an additional building on the same square, just by the Lewis line down there. And we're going to have over 80 studios with about 110 artists working from there.
When you started off, I mean, has the success surprised you that you've had to expand like that?
I suppose it did. We worked very hard at it over the 2 years, but it was quite an instant thing. We quite instantly popular, I suppose, and a lot of people were coming to the events, and since then that worked out very well. Since then we've been expanding out. We've been doing outside events. Just May just gone, we put on the Link Culture Fest, which kind of highlighted the entire area as a cultural quarter nearly down there in Smithfield, because there's 12 studios down there. We're just one of 12, you know.
Yeah. So obviously there has to be, I know it may seem like a silly question, but it has to be an art attached to actually what you do, because that's what it is. But a lot of people with the phones now, everybody's a photographer more or less.
Yeah.
Where I would think of the old-fashioned way you take a picture, you either get it developed by somebody else, or if you're good enough, you dark room and do it at home. So can you explain the differences now?
Oh yeah, well, you're talking about the exhibition that we have on at the moment, because with Block T we do a lot of different things, and one side of it is education department. So, and one part of that is a dark room which we've been running for the last couple of years. So it's an old analog dark room with 8 enlargers, and most people, I suppose, who are over 30 would remember photography as being that initially, but now people move straight onto digital, and most of the dark rooms have been taken out of the colleges and schools. Not many people really use it anymore, because it's much more, it's so much more time consuming. So
is it a skill that's disappearing?
It is, well, I don't know, it's actually making a resurgence, and we found it to be very, very popular. So to highlight that again, we for Culture Night, we're putting on an exhibition of 14 past students from our programme. So they're exhibiting their work. They all have between 3 and 5 photographs on show, and they're incredibly affordable, by the way, down there.
Okay.
And so it is a different thing. To take photograph with an analog camera, you take time, you really look at what you're doing. And some people will say that if you don't learn photography the analog way first, it's very hard to kind of get the eye straight to digital.
So that's the process that you use to get people, because I'm sure you have to discriminate where, I mean, it's like anything, it's like music. I mean, everything today is fast.
Yeah.
I mean, you get up on a talent show, it's fast, but it can be short-lived. But with photography and stuff like that, is this the reason why you go through that process?
It's not that it's short-lived, it's more that it's visceral, and you're really in touch with what you're making.
No, sorry, I didn't mean that what photography short-lived, but I mean everything that things they can get into quick, you know, like the celebrity type of thing.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm explaining it wrong, but if someone might come along and say, I'm a great photographer, look what I can do with my camera on my phone. And you say, no, that's not a good photograph. It's just a photograph.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. Can you discriminate when people come in and you have to explain the process of analog is how to be a good photographer, really?
Yeah. Well, analog, I mean, we've nothing against digital either, because we're really, Block T is really has a large focus on media and new media as well. So for this exhibition that's down in Smithfield tonight, and it runs until Sunday, we have analog photographs, and we also have a digital screen with net art, which is kind of the opposite scale of things, you know. So there's net art from artists around the world that have been curated.
Now, when you say you have free photogram workshops, explain that to me.
Photogram is like making an image without a camera. So you're using the lens which is inside the enlarger. So normally when you take a photograph, it comes out onto a little film, 35mm film or 50mm film or whatever, and you put that inside the enlarger, and the lens, the light on the top of the lens will shine through your negative, and you put your photographic paper underneath, and then it makes the image once you put it into chemicals. But with a photogram, you have your paper on the table, and then you place objects on top, and then without the negative inside the cassette, you just put on the light, and whatever objects you have there create shadows.
Okay.
And you can do quite beautiful things.
Yeah, it sounds quite specialised though, and you give free workshops on it.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. And the other aspects of what you're doing down there, you said it's reasonable. So, how many people can you take at a time, for instance?
Well, the workshops depend. Normally any workshops and classes would a maximum of 6 students, because it's quite technical, and you'd need kind of a small ratio, you know, just for people to understand the process fully. Okay. So we start with beginners classes, move on to intermediate, and then advanced.
Okay, and finally, I'm just going to ask you for Culture Night to repeat again what you have going on tonight.
So we have an exhibition of 14 students, past students, from previous darkroom courses, and they have between 3 and 5 photographs each, all mounted in the gallery down there, right on the corner of Smithfield Square, where it meets the Lewis. And then we have a digital screen showcasing artworks from international net artists.
Okay, thank you very much. That's Ben Redman, and he's artist and artistic director of Block T.